Hello, everybody. Jacob Lawler here, First Team Real Estate. Want to go over with a quick training, one of the most underutilized resources, but also what I feel one of the most powerful resources that we have that I truly feel we are uniquely positioned to utilize here at First Team Real Estate, especially with the recent Clear Cooperation Policy changes and what we've really been building, at least that I'm aware of, since 2005, and how to specifically use what I just affectionately call a soft listing. Now, what the heck is a soft listing? What a soft listing is to me are those clients who want to work with you. They just say they're not ready. They want to do paint and carpet over the next couple months. They just aren't really sure whether they want to do it this summer or at the end of the year, or they don't really know timing, but they know they want you. And at least in the moment, they feel confident and 100% certain that you are the right agent for them. Now, how can we take that certainty and help convert them into a signed contract for both their benefit as well as your peace of mind? That's what I'm here to talk to you about, and specifically what 3 forms we need to utilize to properly protect you, but also give your client that peace of mind to make that decision that they know they want to make. Is just that little extra push over the cliff, so to speak. So what I'm here to talk to you about are those 3 forms and also kind of that dialogue around it. Again, what is this for? Those sellers that you've been working with that they said, absolutely, we love you, we're just not ready. So what I'm going to go over the forms real quick. So I'm going to do a quick screen share if you don't mind. So here are the 3 forms that we're really going to be talking about today. That is, hold on one second, my apologies. The actual residential listing agreement that we all know. This is also the modification of terms, or the modification of a listing, codename modification of terms, as well as the seller instruction to exclude the listing from the multiple listing service. So what we're going to be going over today is specifically going over how to utilize these forms and how to explain them in a way that gives that seller client a good peace of mind. Now, in the spirit of getting sellers to sign contracts, I'm going to pause the screen share for just a second. People don't like signing contracts, especially with salespeople, right? Because they may love you. It may even be a family or a friend, but nobody really likes to sign contracts. So what we're going to be going over today is how to use the languaging within the contracts to, number one, give them a clear picture, but also give them some peace of mind as to what they're actually signing. Because really, there's really 3 things that come up whenever you get somebody to sign a contract. When they want you, they're just not sure if they're ready now. The big overarching question is, what if I change my mind, right? What if I change my mind? But the real 3 questions are, do I have to sell during this time frame? Because if you say, let's put an agreement together, for a year, their question is, well, what if I don't want to sell my house within that year? Meaning they have every intention to now, but they change their mind, okay? Do they have to sell that house at that price? You put a price in that listing agreement. Do they have to sell at that price? Because what if the market goes up over that time frame of a year, right? And then also, ultimately, do I owe you as an agent in a brokerage commission should I decide not to sell during that time frame? So my thought process around this whole thing is always, it doesn't matter to me whether you decide to move 2 days from now or 2 years from now. It matters to you, the seller, but for me, I've got a lot of working years left, right? It doesn't matter to me whether it's 2 days from now or 2 years from now. All I want to make sure is that it's a good decision for you, and if you want me to help you with that decision. So that's really the overarching process of this, is taking a soft listing where you solidify the relationship first, and then you back end into that time frame. So again, going back to the actual documents themselves and how to present that to them using the languaging within the contract, right? So we're going to go to the share right here. So let's actually start with the seller exclusion from the multiple listing service, because this would be actually one of the first things I would actually have them sign to let them know that I'm not here with with my photographer. I'm not here with my lockbox ready to put it on your door. I'm not here with my for sale sign or anything like that. To actually share with them, number one, of course, the benefits of using the MLS and how we will be going on the MLS. We're just not going to do that right now. Now, I've heard it articulated two different ways. Number one, that we as agents have to input it into the MLS within 1 business day of any public marketing of the property. That was a recent change with the Clear Cooperation Policy. It used to say within 2 business days of taking this listing, of signing this agreement. But it now has been changed to within 1 business day of any public marketing. However, if you're not going to do public marketing, but you do have the listing signed, you still have to at least put it into registered status within that same 2 business days. But I don't want to go into the weeds too much on there. But when it comes down to the seller instruction to the broker to exclude the property from the multiple listing service, what I like to highlight on here is, again, we will, because there are incredible benefits of using the MLS, and there is an impact for not going on the MLS, mainly the lack of exposure, right? So we will be putting it on the MLS, but for right now, to save us from having to go onto the MLS right away, what we're going to do is either set a date, meaning if you say you want me to help you, but we don't want to go on the market until insert a specific date here, we would use that. Because some clients do know. They say, look, we don't want to do it until after the kids get out of school. Great. Do we have a date for that? Let's put that on there, right? Sometimes they say, you know what, we don't want to do it, but we want to do it in August 15th. They throw a number out for no reason, right? You would put that on there. If for some reason they don't, and they just have anxieties about the whole process, what I would recommend doing is actually utilizing this box that specifically says, do not market the property to the public during the entire listing period. Reasoning behind this is, if you put it as a specific date on here and it comes up to that date, invariably things change. You're going to need to adjust it. There's going to be this ticking clock. In order to save the client the hassle of that ticking clock by saying, look, it doesn't matter to me. And we'll say we're not going to put it on the market for the entire period because we don't want to give you that ticking clock. However, we want to go on the market when you're ready. And this time, we want you to be in control of what that is. So what we can do is share with them a modification of terms or a modification of listing, okay? And we can add in here under other terms is to say property to be added to MLS as active on, and then leave the date blank and show this to them and show them, look, we're going to, and when that time comes, we already have a form ready for you. And let's just say, because we're going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and let's just say between now and that time, whenever that may be, between now and whenever our marketing period expires, let's say the market has changed. The good news and the perfect thing about this is on this same form is a chance to modify our pricing on here. So we can share with them to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm not here to just put a sign in your front yard or lockbox or this house or whatever. We're going to not have a ticking clock. When you are ready on your terms, on your time frame, we're going to be putting this under other terms, property to be active on the MLS as of blank. We put that date in. You sign it. We can adjust the price if the market has changed, and then you're ready to go on your time. So those 2 forms are there to alleviate the concern of Is there a ticking clock? Do I have to put my house on the market? What if I decide not to? We're actually, by default, by the boxes that we checked, if nothing happens, the property never goes on the market and nobody's the wiser of the property itself, right? So we have that form on top of which saying the modification of terms that says we recommend that you're going to put it on the market, and it will say to go on market as of blank. We would add in that date whenever you're ready, at which you would have to sign at that time, and we can do an updated market evaluation at that time. Again, easing their concerns that we're here to work on their time schedule. So now the big question and the big form, which is the residential purchase agreement, right? So we're going to go to the residential purchase agreement. This is to help answer the question of, do I have to sell at this price, and do I owe you anything? Because we already covered the, do I have to put my house on the market, or do I have to sell during that time frame? We already know about the agreement itself, so I'm not going to belabor the point of how to fill this form out and all of that. What I do want to bring your attention to is a very important clause in this form to help alleviate every remaining concern for the seller. And that is when it comes to compensation. Okay? Is to say, notice, of course, rate is not fixed by law, blah, 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 blah. But the question is, do they owe us a commission? And it says that seller agrees to pay broker as compensation, right? Either blank percent or an additional amount as follows. If during the listing period, seller or any other person procures a ready, willing, I don't know why that highlighted that way, procures a ready, willing, and able buyer, what it used to say, I'm going to put a break on here. People are used to it saying a ready, willing, and able buyer. The form used to say who's willing to pay the price noted above. But I don't remember exactly the date when it was changed, but it was somewhere between 2013 and 2016. I apologize, I don't remember the exact time frame, but to give the seller some positive thoughts, right? In terms of, you want to at least make them right to have a previous concern. Because in the past, yes, it made a difference. It used to say a ready, willing, and able buyer willing to pay the price above. But now what it has changed is whose offer to purchase the property on any price and terms is accepted by seller. Again, I'm going to read it again because I kind of broke it up in a little thing. If during the listing period or any extension, broker, cooperating broker, seller, or any other person procures a ready, willing, and able buyer whose offer to purchase the property on any price and terms, the big phrase here, is accepted by the seller, provided the buyer completes the transaction or is prevented from doing so from the seller, right? So what does that mean? It means if during this entire listing period, we procure ready, willing, and able buyers willing to pay this price or more, unless that offer is accepted by the seller, we're not due a commission. So you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you do not ever owe any compensation to me unless you accept somebody's offer. So no matter what happens in the background, if you decide you don't want to sell during that listing period, we don't have to ever put it on the market because that's what the box already says. And you don't owe us any compensation, and you don't have to sell at that price because it says specifically, I'll bring it back up here. Okay. Whose offer to purchase on any price and terms is accepted by the seller. So no, you are not tied to this price. No, you are not tied to sell at all. No, you are not tied to going on the MLS. All that this contract, when you stack the documents like this, all that this document stack is saying is that you want me to help you should you decide to sell between this time and this time. And this is what the compensation we agree to. Because generally the opening line to this is once they say, you know what, I'm just going to use me as an example. Jacob, we like you. We want to use you when it's time for us to sell. We're just not sure if we're ready to do it now or if we're going to wait for a few months, right? The opening line to this would be, hey, I totally understand. This is a big decision for you guys. You want to make sure that you're really planning this out the best way possible. But let me ask you a question. When it does come down for you to make this move, you want me to help you out, right? And invariably they'll say, well, yeah, absolutely. We love you. You sound like you're really on top of it. And we would trust nobody but you to help us sell our house. We're just not ready. Then you say, hey, we have the perfect program for you. You show them this stack to alleviate the concerns, and then we leverage Sneak Preview, my favorite all-time tool within First Team Real Estate, right? To help close them on a benefit to having this. Because what we can do with Sneak Preview is we can help build excitement about the house while they're putting finishing touches, right? We can help test the market and test their price to see, are we getting some bites? Are we getting no bites, right? We can even have an easier transition or an easier transaction where we don't have that flood of buyers coming through. Because to most people, they want tons and tons of people through their house to help leverage against each other to get the most amount of money possible. Other sellers are like, we're still in a global pandemic. If we have 100 groups of people through, that's 100 opportunities for germs and God knows what. So some people would love to have this overall, let alone have the benefits of this on top of our plan for when it goes live. So we can really leverage Sneak Preview to help convert these clients when they're saying, we want you, we're just not ready. We say, we have the perfect program for you. We can broadcast this out to the counties and even Southern California's top 2,200 agents. We can choose to either include or exclude the address. Want to make sure you highlight that, right? We can either choose to or not to put the address, and we can put as much or as little information out as possible. For me personally, most of the people I talked to didn't want their address when they were still in that figuring it out phase, because they didn't want the neighbors to know or whatever, because it invariably gets out, right? When you're driving people through or whatever, people start wondering what's going on. So oftentimes it's best for my clients, I've found, to not include the address unless they are committed to making this move. They just need like maybe a 2-week window or a 4-week window. But when they're 3 months out, maybe 6 months out, maybe. I've even had a client on for 2 years, was the longest that I had on Sneak Preview. Was the longest time was a 3-year contract I took with one of these in order to do that. But we had it on Sneak Preview for 2 years before they decided, you know what, it's time for us. That we saw the market has changed, right? But again, we have the perfect program for them. Put it into Sneak Preview. We can test the market. We can really help build excitement about the property, the best of both worlds. You can have your cake and eat it too. And if we have more sellers coming into this program, I can guarantee you we have more and more sellers who would love to see other opportunities on Sneak Preview, because one of the big things that I'm hearing, and I know you are as well, more sellers would be putting their houses on the market if they saw more opportunity of where they could move to. So if we start putting more sellers into Sneak Preview, leveraging this soft listing technique, We're going to be able to have more opportunities to show our sellers potential upleg properties that are going to be coming on the market. And it's really going to be the best of both worlds for us as agents, for our clients, and ultimately for the consumers as a whole. So I hope this was helpful. I could go over about how this makes sure that it falls within the Clear Cooperation Policy, because it is all within the legalities and the ethics guidelines from NAR's Clear Cooperation Policy. I can actually share that with you real quick, so that way you know we have a full encompassing deal here, right? So we have this where we can share with you registered status, right? Making sure we understand that registered status, there is no marketing involved. It can be shown through listing brokers' clients. So because we are all part of First Team Real Estate, which is the largest independently owned and operated brokerage in all of Southern California, we have a unique advantage to be able to do this. Because when it comes to the frequently asked questions on CRMLS's Clear Cooperation Policy, no, you cannot do public marketing, okay? Can I market the property to agents working under the same DRE broker license while in registered status? Because this would be considered part of a registered listing. So yes, subject to limitations. If the broker office has a signed agency disclosure form with a prospective buyer, any agent under that listing's broker ID can market and show the home to that buyer. That is how we're able to have the best of both worlds. We're able to chat intra-brokerage without limitations. We just can't show it to our clients unless we get an agency disclosure, which anytime you're showing a client a home, you should get them to sign an agency disclosure, because that should always be the first thing that a client signs. And we know every time before a showing, we have to get them to sign a PED form. So before they sign the first PED form, you have to get them to sign an AD anyway. So again, yes, you can show a property while in registered status. So yes, we can show and sell sneak preview listings. And again, as of right now, we have 218 in sneak preview. I want to see that number grow, because I know all of us have more clients right now than we have listings. And if we know how to alleviate the concerns, we stack up the positives, eliminate the negatives, the scales will turn in our favor. And in turn, it will turn in your clients' favors. Because at the end of the day, what matters to us is really what matters to our clients, which is getting them the most amount of money in the best amount of time with the least amount of hassles. And we can really have them have their cake and eat it too, and have the best of both worlds with this soft listing technique. I hope this was helpful. I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you with more listings. Talk to you soon.